This happened just a few days ago. I was driving cross-country on a project to document small-town life. I thought it would help me feel inspired again. I'm a photographer, but some days it feels like the world has lost its color. One night, I pulled into a gas station. It was dark, and the buzzing neon sign above was flickering. I got out to fill my tank and noticed a woman sitting in a parked car. She just stared at me, not blinking. It was odd, and it made me feel uneasy. I couldn't tell why, but I hurried back to my car and drove off. Over the next few days, I tried to push that moment out of my mind. But things didn't get better. I parked my car at a rest stop one evening. I was standing outside, enjoying the night air, when I thought I heard whispers. My heart raced. I looked around, but all I saw were shadows. Nothing was there. I took a deep breath, reminding myself I was just tired. Later that night, I received a text from an unknown number. It said, "I see you." I felt a chill run through me. I didn't know who it was. At first, I thought of ignoring it. But the text stuck in my mind. What did it mean? The next night, I went to a diner. I sat at the counter and sipped my coffee. That woman appeared again, just briefly in the window. I blinked, and she was gone. I quickly paid my bill and left. I felt my heart pounding. It was not just a coincidence anymore. As I drove further, I spotted her on the side of the road. I saw her figure standing still at the edge of a street. It felt like my heart stopped. I blinked, and she seemed to be closer. I wasn't sure if I was really seeing her or if my mind was playing tricks on me. Then came the scariest moment. I pulled over at a rest stop to calm down. I was rechecking my camera settings when I heard a soft voice behind me. "Why are you watching me?" I jumped and spun around, but there was nothing there. Just the empty roadside behind me. My heart pounded like crazy. That I couldn't shake the feeling that something was very wrong. I wanted to believe these were just tricks of the mind, but I wasn't so sure anymore. As I drove on, I felt the weight of her gaze following me. I tried to focus on my work, but I could see her in my mind. Always looking. Always watching. What did she want? I couldn't answer that. I just wanted to finish my project and get home. Now, I sit here questioning everything. Were those encounters real? Or had I lost my mind on the road? I don't know. But I feel a chill whenever I think of it. Something terrible seems to be lurking just outside my sight, and I doubt I'll ever find out what it is. I woke up in the middle of the night, gasping. My heart raced as I tried to shake off the remnants of the dream. I had been alone in a vast field, the woman standing before me, her face covered in shadows. She extended her hand, beckoning me to come closer. I woke up just as I was about to step forward. I glanced at my phone. The screen lit up and I saw another message from the unknown number. "It's not just you." I felt a cold grip on my chest. I rubbed my eyes and tried to convince myself it was just exhaustion playing tricks. The morning light filtered through the trees, pushing away the night's confusion. I brushed off the thought of the woman and focused on the road ahead. I needed to get my project back on track. The next small town I aimed to capture was a place famed for its fall festival. Colorful leaves, laughter, and families coming together might help reignite my passion. As I drove, I kept glancing in my rearview mirror, half expecting to see her there. But the road was empty. Just me and the endless stretch of asphalt. I stopped at a small cafe for breakfast, hoping to find some inspiration in the bustling atmosphere. The smell of pancakes was comforting, but I couldn't shake a feeling of unease. After ordering my meal, I pulled out my notebook and began jotting down ideas. But I struggled to focus. The whispers I'd heard at the rest stop kept creeping back into my mind. I glanced outside. A figure stood across the street, partially obscured by a tree. I squinted, and when I blinked, the woman was gone. I told myself it was just a trick of the light. But doubt gnawed at me. After finishing my meal, I stepped outside, determined to take some photos for my project. I wandered to a nearby park filled with vibrant autumn colors. The sun peeking through the trees created a warm glow. That's when I saw her again, standing at the edge of the park, her back to me. I froze in place. Was she following me? I wanted to turn around, to run back into the cafe, but something anchored me to the spot. I couldn't take my eyes off her. Finally, I gathered the courage to approach her. But as I got closer, she began to move. I chased after her, heart pounding. "Wait!" I called out, but she didn't turn. She just walked faster, disappearing into the thicket of trees. I stopped, breathless, frustration swirling with fear. Why was she running? What did she want from me? My hands trembled as I pulled out my camera to capture the moment, hoping to capture something real, something that could explain everything, but when I reviewed the photos, my heart sank. She wasn't there. I checked again, zooming in, hoping to retrieve some semblance of the encounter. Nothing. Just trees and the fading light of day. I staggered back, panic rising within me. The woman felt like a ghost. If she was real, why couldn't I capture her? I felt the choking sense of dread tightening. Whatever was happening, it was spiraling out of control. Then, my phone buzzed again. I hesitated for a moment before looking. "You can't escape." This time, I didn't just feel watched, I felt hunted. The air felt thick as I stood outside the park, my breath hitching with every pulse of panic. I glanced around, hoping to catch sight of the woman again, but there was nothing, just the rustle of leaves in the wind and the distant laughter of children. I needed to get away, to put some distance between me and whatever this was. Climbing into my car, I tried to shake off the fear. I turned the engine over and hit the road. I didn't even know where I was going anymore, just that I needed to move. As the scenery blurred past, each passing tree felt like a reminder of my shaken mind. I turned the music up, hoping to drown out the nagging thoughts, then my phone buzzed again, cutting through the music. I braced myself, heart racing. It was another text from the unknown number. "Meet me where the shadows linger." I gripped the steering wheel tightly. The message stirred something deep within me. Was this a coincidence or a taunt? I didn't want to be lured into a trap. But part of me was curious and terrified at the same time. I rolled the idea around in my mind. Where would shadows linger? Eventually, against my better judgment, I thought of a local legend about an abandoned lighthouse several miles away. The kind of place where stories of hauntings were common. The thought made my stomach churn. But I had to know. Maybe this was the key to understanding everything. Arriving at the lighthouse felt like stepping into a different world. The sun was sinking low, casting long shadows over the crumbling structure. It looked like something out of a horror movie, broken windows and wild vines consuming the walls. I parked and took a deep breath before stepping out. As I approached, the temperature dropped. A chill ran down my spine, but I pressed on. My footsteps echoed against the aged stones. Each sound made me hyper-aware of my surroundings. I checked my phone, half expecting another message or a sign of the woman. Nothing. That I ventured inside and pulled out my flashlight. The beam flickered across the walls, revealing faded photographs and remnants of a place long forgotten. I could feel the weight of the silence, thick and oppressive. The stories of hauntings swirled in my mind, but still, I sensed I wasn't alone. Then I saw a shadow darting across the wall. My instinct screamed at me to leave, but instead, I followed. The shadow moved deeper into the lighthouse. I cautiously stepped forward, heart pounding louder than my footsteps. "Hello?" I called out, my voice trembling. No answer, just the relentless hush of the building. I turned a corner and saw a door slightly ajar. It creaked open with a gentle push. Inside, an unexpected sight froze me in place. A pile of old newspapers splayed across a table, all discussing mysterious disappearances and strange sightings in the area. Then, I spotted a few familiar faces in the photos. My breath caught in my throat. They were people from my hometown, faces I recognized. What were they doing here? Suddenly, noise broke the silence, a whispering sound that seemed to grow louder. It felt like a warning. I snapped my head around, expecting to see someone. But the hallway was empty, the shadows only thickening around me. Hastily, I stumbled back, panic spreading through every part of me. I had to get out of there. I turned to run, but the door slammed shut behind me. My heart raced as I banged against it. What was happening? Why was I trapped? I pounded on the door, my fists hitting the wood with desperation. Let me out! I shouted, my voice echoing, swallowed up by the silence. The whispers intensified, almost like they were mocking me. I turned back towards the room, feeling the air thicken as fear constricted my throat. Then, a faint sound caught my attention, a click, followed by the groan of the door creaking open just a crack. The shadows seemed to pull back, revealing a figure just beyond the threshold. It was indistinct, shrouded in darkness, but I could feel eyes boring into me. My heart pounded louder, drowning any rational thought. "Who are you?" I demanded, though my voice shook. The figure didn't respond. It simply stood there, waiting, as if gauging my reaction. I needed to make a decision. I could bolt, leave the door behind and find another exit, or confront whatever this was. The urge to flee surged up, but there was something compelling about the figure, something hauntingly familiar. "I'm not afraid," I lied, taking a step forward. Suddenly, the figure lifted its hand, pointing towards a stack of those old newspapers. Confusion washed over me. It was as if they wanted me to see something. I glanced at the headlines, my pulse quickening again as I read the names. One caught my eye, a girl I used to know. Missing for years. Why? I whispered, feeling dizzy. The figure stepped back into the shadows, disappearing as mysteriously as it had appeared. In the dim light, I felt my stomach churn. The connection was too real. Were those who vanished somehow linked to me? What did this mean? "Wait!" I called out, rushing to the doorway, but the figure had vanished completely. The whispers faded, leaving nothing but the sound of my heavy breathing in the corridor. I stood there, frozen, trapped between the desire to escape and the urgency to uncover the truth. I took a deep breath and stepped back into the main room. The windows seemed darker now, more ominous. A sudden chill coursed through me. Grabbing my flashlight, I scanned the space, hoping to catch another glimpse of that figure. My focus veered back to the table of newspapers as an unsettling realization dawned. They weren't just old stories, they were pieces of a puzzle I needed to solve. Clenching my fists, I scanned the room for anything else that might give me a clue. And that's when I noticed a small notebook tucked under the edge of the table, almost camouflaged. I reached for it, fingers trembling, and pulled it out. Inside, the pages were filled with names, dates, and cryptic symbols. My heart sank. This was more than just a collection of notes, it felt like a map of lives gone missing, a chilling testament to the dark history of this place. A sudden rumble echoed outside, shaking the walls. The sound grew louder, and I realized it was approaching footsteps. Someone was coming. I tucked the notebook into my pocket, adrenaline coursing through my veins. I had to make a choice, hide or confront whoever it was. Before I could decide, the door burst open. "Where are you?" A voice called from the shadows. It was a man, his silhouette menacing. "I know you're in here." I could feel the weight of his gaze. My heart raced as I braced myself for what came next. My mind raced, parsing through my options like a frantic child organizing toys. I could hide, but where? The shadows seemed alive, swirling in every corner. There was no doubt that he was looking for me. I could hear his approach thudding against the wooden floor, growing closer with each heartbeat. Instead of hiding, I quickly ducked behind the table, my breath shallow. I strained to see him through the gap between the legs of the furniture. He was tall, dressed in dark clothing, and his face was obscured. I couldn't distinguish any real features, but I could feel the dark energy radiating off him, like a cold draft in a forgotten room. "Show yourself," he bellowed, his voice cutting through the silence, harsh and authoritative. I nearly flinched. I glanced at the notebook, still tucked in my pocket, feeling its weight anchor me. It had to hold something important. I had to find a way to escape, but I also needed answers. Answers about the girl I once knew. Answers about this man and the figure that had beckoned me. The fear that had gripped me was being mingled with a stubborn resolve. He paused, apparently listening for any sign of movement. The anxiety in my chest tightened. I could feel the adrenaline pulsing through me, an unyielding current compelling me to act. I waited for his shoulders to relax, hoping for a chance to slip away unnoticed. Suddenly, he made a rapid move, leaning close to the table, just as I instinctively backed away. Had he seen me? The distance felt infinite, yet his presence felt overwhelming, an invisible weight crashing down around me. I had to hold my breath, praying he wouldn't notice the slight sound as my foot nudged a loose newspaper, sending it fluttering to the floor. "Get out here!" he shouted, now furious. I couldn't wait any longer. I sprinted across the floor, my heart hammering, desperate to reach the door on the other side of the room. I could hear him lurch after me, the sound of his steps echoing behind me like a predator in hot pursuit. Just as I reached the door, I felt a sharp tug on my shirt, and I was yanked backward. I braced myself for the impact, the fear spilling out in a quick breath. But instead of crashing into the floor, I was thrust up against the wall. "Who are you?" he growled, his face dangerously close to mine, the tension in the air thick enough to slice. My mind swirled, thoughts crashing together in a chaotic mess. "I am just trying to find out what happened," I stammered, searching his eyes for some shred of humanity. He narrowed his gaze, eyes flickering with recognition, and just as I thought I might break through, he released me. Surprised, I stumbled back, noticing his expression shift from anger to something resembling confusion. "You're connected to them, aren't you?" he said, lowering his voice. "You can't be. You shouldn't be." Before I could respond, he turned abruptly, moving to the window in a single stride. I felt my heart drop. Was he there to protect me, or to harm me? That's when I saw it, the reflection in the glass. A figure emerged from the shadows behind him, eyes fixed on me. The figure ripped through the darkness, and I realized with horror, it was the same figure I had seen earlier. The room may have been small, but it felt like it was closing in fast. "Look out!" I shouted. Everything seemed to shatter into chaos, the energy shifting as the two figures faced off while I stood frozen, powerless. The moment I yelled, everything shifted. The air prickled with tension, and I could feel fear stretching into every corner of the room. The figure lunged forward, moving with a grace that felt almost unnatural. I wanted to scream again, but my voice raced away, caught in my throat. The man I had confronted turned sharply, grabbing something from his belt, a blade that glimmered in the low light. "Get down!" he commanded, but I was too stunned to react. My feet felt rooted to the floor. The shadowy figure had no intention of retreating. It charged right at him, a swirling mass of energy. I barely had time to breathe before they collided. The thud echoed in the stillness, sending a shockwave through my body. I instinctively ducked, covering my head with my arms. The sounds of struggle filled the room. Grunts, the clash of metal, and the rasp of labored breaths mingled with the frantic beating of my heart. I peeked up, desperately searching for a way out, but the door felt like a distant memory, swallowed in the chaos. The man had pushed the shadow back, but it kept advancing, unfazed. It was like fighting smoke. I realized I needed to make a choice. Stay frozen in fear or act. The notebook felt heavier now in my pocket, almost urging me to remember its purpose. That I grabbed it, instinctively flicking it open. My fingers brushed over the pages, flipping past scribbled notes and sketches. Suddenly, a strange symbol caught my eye, one I hadn't noticed before. It was drawn in a hurried scrawl, something about the keeper. As I absorbed the words, I felt a pull, a connection to the scene unfolding before me. Maybe this notebook held the answers I was searching for. My heart raced. The keeper! I shouted, hoping my voice could cut through the din of their fight. Both of them paused, momentarily distracted. The man looked bewildered, his eyes darting between me and the figure. "What did you say?" he asked, breathless. What's in here," I said, holding the notebook higher. "Maybe it can help." The figure hesitated, its shadowy form looming, but it seemed to slow. The air thickened, charged with anticipation. "Don't you see?" I pressed. "If you want answers, we need to work together." The man exchanged an uneasy look with the shadow before raising the knife once more. "I don't trust it. You don't know what it is." "I have to know," I insisted. I didn't know how much longer the struggle would last. I had come too far to let it end like this. "Please. We can't fight whoever or whatever this is alone." Panic surged through me like an electric shock. Suddenly, the shadow lunged again, this time aiming directly for me. I barely managed to sidestep as a swirl of darkness rushed past, knocking over a lamp with a loud crash. Glass scattered across the floor. "Look out!" the man shouted, lunging forward. This time, he wasn't aiming at the shadow. His knife struck down toward me, instinct took over in an instant. I shoved the notebook forward as if it could somehow shield me. The blade caught the corner of the notebook, tearing it slightly, and in that moment, time felt suspended. I froze, eyes wide, waiting for an impact that wouldn't come. Instead, a burst of light erupted from the notebook, enveloping the room in a radiant glow. Both figures recoiled, and I could hardly believe what I was seeing. Then everything went dark. I thought I'd been swallowed by the darkness, but then a soft glow began to return. I blinked, trying to make sense of my surroundings. The struggle was gone, the room was quiet, and the air was calm again. I was standing alone, the man and the shadowy figure nowhere to be seen. The notebook lay open on the floor, the pages now shimmering faintly with silver light. I stepped forward, drawn to it, half expecting something to leap from the text. As I approached, the light pulsed gently. I cautiously picked it up and flipped through the pages. The symbol of the keeper dominated the next few sections, but now it was surrounded by illustrations, homes, streets, and landscapes that felt eerily familiar. My pulse quickened. This looked like the town I had just left, but also places I had never seen. "What is happening?" I whispered to myself, but no answer came. I felt a chill creep down my spine, as if the air had thickened again, pressing in like a vice. The notebook seemed to hum in my hands, and I flipped to the back where writing scrawled across the page said, "The keeper holds the power to unlock the past and rewrite fate." Rewrite fate? I repeated, my voice trembling. How could a notebook do that? I shivered, caught between excitement and dread. Suddenly, a scraping sound pierced the silence. I whipped around, searching the room, but it felt like I was being watched. There was something unsettling about being alone after the chaos. I knew I should leave, yet I felt tethered to that notebook. I took a deep breath and forced myself to focus. "What do I do now?" I muttered, hoping I'd hear a reply. I needed a plan. I thought of the man and the figure. What if they were still out there? What if they were looking for me? The air crackled again, and a sudden chill crawled across my neck. I looked back at the door. It swung ever so slightly, then stopped. Without thinking, I dashed towards it, fueled by fear and adrenaline. My pulse raced as I pushed the door open, stepping into the hallway outside. It was darker than I remembered. Where was I? This wasn't just my home. It felt different, transformed. The walls seemed to bend and twist, like the house was alive. I turned back to see the shadow of the door frame behind me stretching unnaturally, then I heard it again, the gruff voice of the man from before. "Where are you?" He called, but this time his tone was different, urgent, almost desperate. "Over here," I shouted, stumbling back toward the sound. I needed him to help me make sense of whatever was happening. I felt an odd mix of fear and relief at his voice. "That way," he shouted, his voice echoing down the corridor. I turned, following the sound, but as I ran, the hall began to shift around me, the walls bending like a funhouse. I almost didn't want to confirm it wasn't just a trick of my mind. Then, from the corner of my eye, I saw a dark shape emerge from the shadows, and my heart dropped. Someone or something was blocking my path. I froze. The dark shape loomed in front of me, blocking my escape. A chill spread down my arms. My instincts screamed at me to turn back, to run in the opposite direction, but I was trapped. The glimmer of the notebook felt like a weight in my pocket, but somehow it also felt like my only lifeline. As I blinked against the darkness, the shape became clearer. It was a figure, tall and shrouded in a black cloak that obscured its features. Just beyond it, I could see the faint outline of a door. My heart raced. If I could reach that door, maybe I could escape. "Who are you?" I shouted, my voice echoing through the hallway. The figure moved slightly, almost as if it were considering my question. The air felt charged with the tension of an unresolved stare down. I didn't want to approach it, but I also didn't have many options. "I am the gatekeeper," it finally answered, its voice hollow and echoing like it came from somewhere far away. "And you, dear child, are where fate meets uncertainty." "Fate?" I spat back, frustration mingling with fear. "I don't know what's happening. I just want to get out of here." "The keeper of the book has chosen you," it said, its tone eerily calm. "You have the chance to rewrite your story." As it spoke, my mind raced through the implications. What if I don't want to rewrite anything? What if I just want to return to my old life? The figure stepped closer, and I instinctively took a step back. "There is no old life, child. What has been whispered through the pages cannot be undone. Choices have brought you here, and now you must face them." Anger flared inside me, battling with confusion. "Face what? What choices? I don't understand." "Turn the page," it urged, extending a skeletal hand toward the notebook still in my pocket. The air thickened, suffocating me with an overwhelming pressure. Then, the wall behind me rippled like water. Anxiety gripped my stomach, and before I could comprehend what was happening, it beckoned me to come closer. The space warped, shifting like a bad dream. In a moment of panic, I spun on my heel and sprinted toward the door. But the closer I got, the further it seemed to pull away. "Wait!" The figure called out, breathless urgency accompanying its voice. "You need to decide now." I stumbled but didn't stop. As I lunged for the door, something sharp grazed my arm, a fleeting sensation that felt like cold fingers trailing against my skin. I pushed the door open, and the noise echoed behind me. Just as I stepped through, the world shifted again. Everything fell dark around me, silence replacing the chaotic noise from moments earlier. The door slammed shut behind me, leaving nothing but an expanse of disorienting space. Where was I? The uncertainty felt suffocating. I couldn't shake the feeling that I had just left something crucial behind. And then, the voice returned, softer this time, echoing through the void. "You cannot escape your fate." My heart sank. What had I stepped into? With nowhere to go, the chilling realization washed over me. I had entered another realm, but I didn't know how to navigate it. In that moment, I understood I was not alone. Something was waiting for me here. I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself in the dark. The weight of the notebook pressed against my side, making me feel even more isolated. I couldn't see anything, but I could sense an unseen presence around me. It felt like eyes were watching, waiting for me to make a move. "Hello?" I called out, my voice trembled as it broke the stillness. No response. Just silence. I narrowed my eyes, straining to see anything in the void. Suddenly, a flash of light flickered in the distance. I squinted, hoping it would guide me. It pulsed like a heartbeat, each thump resonating within me. I took a tentative step toward it, my heart drumming louder as the light grew brighter. As I approached, the space around me began to change. The darkness peeled back, revealing a vast, seemingly endless landscape. The ground was cracked and dry, like it hadn't seen water in ages. In the far distance, I noticed bizarre structures jutting from the earth, twisted, gnarled trees and jagged rocks that looked like they'd witnessed centuries of sorrow. The light suddenly flickered out, plunging me back into darkness. Then, the voice returned, sharper this time. "You have entered the realm of choices. Here, every decision weighs heavy." "What does that even mean?" I yelled into the shadows, frustration bubbling inside me. "I don't remember making any choices." Sirens erupted, slicing through the silence. Distorted versions of my past choices flooded my mind, days spent tangled in worry, moments wasted on indecision. I grasped the notebook tightly, desperate for clarity. In that moment, everything jolted back to life. The ground trembled beneath my feet, sending cracks sprawling outward. A figure emerged from the shadows, stepping forward, an echo of the gatekeeper, but this one felt even more menacing. Its eyes glowed like embers in the dark, fixed on me. "Every choice you've ignored returns to haunt you," it hissed. "Do you see now?" I shuddered. I didn't mean to ignore them. I just wanted to escape. The figure laughed, a sound that shook the very air around me. "Escape is an illusion, child. You cannot outrun what is within. You must confront your choices." As it spoke, images flashed in front of me, moments I had tucked away, mistakes I had avoided acknowledging. My hands started to tremble. I felt the gravity of my past choices pulling me into a bottomless pit. Then, everything shifted again. The previous landscape collapsed, replaced by a path lined with mirrors. Each one reflected different outcomes of my life choices, paths taken and paths missed. I gasped, horrified by the agony of seeing the lives I could have led. "That's not possible," I whispered, staring at a mirror that showed me a version of myself laughing, carefree. "I didn't choose this." A voice drifted through the air, distinct yet distant. "Choices are not just made, they ripple through time." Panic surged through me. I felt paralyzed in front of the mirrors. Just when I thought I might crumble under the weight of regret, something dark flickered in one of the reflections, something sinister, lurking just beyond reach. That's when I saw it. A figure moving behind the glass, and it was no longer just a reflection. It stepped through, twisting reality, and their eyes locked onto mine. Before I could react, the mirror shattered, the sound piercing through the air like a gunshot. My breath quickened as my reflection crumbled into shards around me, scattering past choices in every direction. Now I was faced with a new presence. A threat that was more than just remnants of decisions unmade. As the last piece fell away, I realized I was not just in the realm of past choices, I was about to confront something far darker. The air crackled with tension, and I felt the darkness swirl around me, pulling tighter as that figure emerged fully from the shattered mirror. It was a twisted doppelganger of myself, eyes wide and unblinking, a chilling grin painted across its face. I stumbled back, heart racing, panic rising in my throat. It stepped closer, its movements jerky and unnatural, as if each action was a painful puppet show. "You wanted to escape, didn't you?" it taunted, its voice echoing like a hollow wind. "But you can't run from yourself." I shook my head, desperation clawing at my mind. I couldn't let it get to me, I had to fight back. I clutched the glowing notebook tightly, feeling its warmth pulsate, a reassurance amidst the suffocating dread. Somehow, it felt like a part of me, a last thread connecting me to reality. "You're not me," I blurted, conviction surging through my veins. "You're just a fear, my fear." It laughed, a raspy sound that echoed endlessly around the void. "Fear is only a part of you if you let it be." With that, it lunged forward, and instinct kicked in. I raised the notebook between us, as if it were a shield, and shouted, "Stop." In that instant, the air shimmered, and the notebook burst with light, pushing the figure back, but it didn't retreat entirely. Instead, it contorted, merging with the shadows around us, becoming part of the very darkness it had come from. "Ah, but you forget," it hissed, voice growing closer as it mirrored my movements, "I am always right behind you, feeding off your choices, your doubts. I am a part of the shadows, and the shadows are endless." My breaths came quicker, panic rising again like a tide. Suddenly, flashes of memory consumed me, forgotten laughter, lost friendships, dreams brushed aside. They swirled around in the darkness, and I realized this wasn't just about my fears, it was about everything I had avoided facing. Everything I'd left behind. "Enough!" I shouted, seizing control. I had come this far, I couldn't turn back now. I opened the notebook again, searching for a way to banish this aberration. The words had shifted, forming a new sentence: to rise above the shadows, embrace the light within. I closed my eyes, summoning every ounce of determination I had. "I choose to embrace who I am." I screamed, letting the words spill out, releasing them into the air. The figures around me began to flicker and fade, and the darkness felt less tangible, like smoke dissipating. My double screeched, its form unraveling, consumed by the light erupting from the notebook. In that moment, I felt a powerful surge within myself, as if every lost piece of me was coming together. When I opened my eyes again, I stood in a familiar field, the sun shining brightly overhead. Color radiated in vibrant hues all around me, painting the landscape with life. It felt like a dreamscape, conjured from memories of better days, and I could finally breathe without the weight of shadows pressing down. But just as I began to fully appreciate my surroundings, a soft whisper pierced the stillness, echoing through the air. "This isn't the end." It was gentle yet insistent, and unease threaded through my relief. I looked around, feeling an echo of dread creep back in, as if the boundaries of this newfound reality were still fluid, still shifting. Had I truly escaped? Would the shadows find a way back to me again? As I took a hesitant step forward, I noticed the notebook lying on the grass. I bent down to pick it up, its pages shimmering still with energy, still whispering secrets and stories untold. Could I truly rewrite my fate? Or was this just a pause in a much larger game where the rules could change at any moment? I glanced back at the vibrant field stretching before me and felt a heavy weight in my chest. I wouldn't turn away, no, never again. I vowed to explore, to learn, to understand even the shadows within myself. But somewhere deep down, I knew the balance was precarious, and I could still feel the thread of uncertainty lingering at the edges of this newfound light. That I took a deep breath and stepped forward. Embracing the unknown, wondering what my journey would reveal next, knowing that the shadows might still linger, just out of sight. After all, I still hadn't figured out if it was truly over or if my past choices were still waiting in the wings for the right moment to return.